So, hello po. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, classmates. So, tonight we'll be going to talk about the musical content on timbre. So, the objectives is in this lesson, the students will be able to get a bird's eye view of content topics under timbre as written in the Department of Education, Tab Ed curriculum. So, next is review and familiarize the musical content pertaining on timbre. So first, I will going to discuss to you or give the overview and review. First, it would be helpful to get an overview of content topics under this musical content or musical element, which is the timbre. So I will present to you the outline prepared for you, and it's based on the Department of Education or the DepEd curriculum for music. So for grade 1, we have the quality of sound music and difference between singing and speaking. And also for grade 2, we have the quality sound in music, introduction to voice production, differentiation in sound quality, introduction to musical instrument, and for grade 3, we have voice production techniques, and also we have variation in sound quality, we have similar and different. For grade 4, we have variation of sound, instrumental and vocal. For grade 5, we have vocal and instrument sounds, basic voice range classification. We have 4, the soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So next one is oral and visual identification of instruments in drum and lyre band, rondalia, native bamboo orchestra, or the pangkat kawayan. For grade 6 naman po, we have the introduction to instruments of the Western Orchestra. Let's define what is timbre. So, timbre is also known as tone color, refers to the character and quality of a sound that differentiate one musical instrument or voice from another. It gives a certain identity to a musical instrument. So, in music, it is maybe divided into two categories. We have vocal music and instrumental music. So next is solo. The word solo means alone in Italian. It is a musical composition for a single instrument without accompaniment of work, wherein a single instrument or voice is featured eminently throughout, even with accompaniment. So, yung solo, meaning solo lang siya. It can identify the vocal instrument of a person. So next naman po, we have accompaniment. Accompaniment is the background music that support principal parts or parts. Let us look at the image below to understand more clearly what this accompaniment means. So I think accompaniment is the background music that support principal parts or the vocal instrument. So I think when we say accompaniment, ito po yung instrument na nag-support sa vocal instrument para mabuo yung isang music na ginagawa nila. So here is the example po. Damutya ng Pasig, Kumintang, Titik ni Deo Gracias A. Rosario, Tugtugin ni Nicanor Abelardo. So here you can see the piano sa taas po nakalagay, and then the canto, which is yung vocal instrument na po, yung canto. Yung piano po is the accompaniment. Yung canto naman po is yung vocal instrument. So next, duet. Basically, it is the musical composition written for two parts or two prominent parts supported by an accompaniment. So meaning, ito na po yung collab ng vocal instrument and then yung accompaniment. Pwedeng dito sa duet, pwedeng vocal instrument to vocal instrument and accompaniment to accompaniment. Kaya nga po tinawag na duet dahil two lang po. Dalawa lang dapat yung duet. Yes. So next we have trio. It is a musical composition written for three parts. It's either for voice or instrument. Dito naman po, pwede naman po dito siguro yung dalawang instrument, then one vocal instrument. para maging trio sila. So next naman po, we have the ensemble. It is a musical composition written for a relatively large group of performers. Some example of ensemble are the choirs, the orchestras, and bands. However, small musical groups of 4 or 5 people may be still considered as an ensemble. So meaning kahit merong tatlong instrument or dalawang vocal instrument, matatawag na silang ensemble. So next naman po, we have the voice range classification. We have 4, the soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So first, we'll be going to talk about the soprano. It is a type of human voice with the highest pitch. Next is alto, also called contralto. It is a low female voice. Tenor, this range is naturally highest occurring type of voice in adult males. So meaning, yung tenor po is the highest occurring type of voice in adult males. So meaning to say, sa lalaki lang po. Kung sa babae naman po, yung highest pitch nila is soprano. So sa lalaki naman po, we have tenor. So the last one po is bass. So the bass is the lowest sounding male voice. So meaning, yung pinakamababang voice ng lalaki. Itinatawag din natin na yung lagong in Bicol. Yes, yung malagong na boses. So next is identifying ensemble instruments. First, the drum and lyre band, also called a drum and lyre corps. It is a type of Filipino marching band that was derived from the drum and bangle corps, for reason of it being more economically feasible to maintain and organize. So, marami naman siguro sa atin nakakalam about drum and lyre corps kasi nakita na natin sila magsimula elementary days and high school days. So, it is made up primarily of 2 sections. We have the lyre section, which plays the melody. The drum section naman po, which function as the accompaniment part. So, meaning, the lyre section plays the melody and the drum section as the accompaniment. So, first, we have lyre, also called bell lyre. So, it is a portable percussion instrument where a set of tuned steel bars are hit by either metal or wooden mallets. So next is snare drum. It is composed of a cylinder-shaped shell with 2 heads or usually made out of wood or metal. Next is tenor drum. So it is a deep cylindrical drum. It is stuck with felt-headed or side drumsticks, also called a long drum. So fourth, we have the bass drum, also consisting of a cylindrical shell with 2 heads. This drummer is bigger, around 36 inches in the diameter and 16 inches deep. So next is cymbals, usually held by hands in pairs. These instruments provide loud, occasional accent while marching. These are broad circular plates with a small bump or boss in the middle. Cymbals are usually made from thin and copper alloy. So these are the example of the drum and lyre corps instruments. So we have first the lyre, next is the snare drum, the third one is the tenor drum, and the fourth one we have the bass drum, and the fifth one we have the cymbals. Next is rondalia. Rondalia, originating from Spain, it is an ensemble performing group that was later customized and transformed into Filipino culture, also called the Filipino string band. So these groups play a wide range of repertoire from folk, modern, and even foreign classical music. These are mostly transcription of other vocal instruments compositions. The usual instruments found within a rondalia are the bandurria, laud, octavina, guitar, and double bass. So rondalia are found throughout the country, especially in many public schools. So, me, I recognized Rondalia in my high school days, which is in the Special Program in the Arts or the SPA. So let's talk about the instruments found in Rondalia. First, we have the bandurria. It is a small string instrument derived from the guitar and has 6 courses, strings in pairs of metal strings, tuned into fourth. Usually, it plays the top treble part. It is played by using a plectrum or a small pick or piece used to pluck the string instrument. Usually, yung mga pick is made of plastic, metal, ivory, or shell. So next, we have lod. Lod is similar to bandurria. This plucked instrument is also tuned in fourths, but is pitched 1 octave lower. It is relatively bigger than the bandurria. So yung lod is it's much bigger than the bandurria. Mas masyadong malaki yung lod kaysa sa bandurria. So the third one, we have octavina. So octavina, it has a shape almost exactly like a guitar, but has a set of 14 strings. This plucked instrument shares the same tuning as the lod. So yung octavina is it is shaped like a guitar. Pero yung octavina has a 14 strings. And the next one po is guitar. So plucked either with or without a plectrum, the guitar has 6 strings, a single open round sound hole, a slightly curved back, and sides in the figure of a waist. So it is one of the most widely used and popular instruments in music. So the last one, we have double bass, so also called contrabass. It is the largest of the bowed string instrument and has the lowest pitch. It is related to the violin, viola, and cello. It can be played either by plucking or with a bow. So parang yung double bass, it looks like violin, but it's related to violin, but it's much bigger than violin, viola, and cello. So the double bass may be played either by plucking or with a bow. So these are the example, or these are the pictures of the instruments found in a bandurria, in a grondalia rather. So we have first the bandurria, the lod, the second one, the third one is the octavina, and the fourth one we have the guitar, and the fifth one we have the double bass. Let's proceed naman po sa next. We have the native bamboo ensembles, or we call the Pangkat Kawayan. So it is a unique Filipino performing group or ensemble that uses non-traditional bamboo instruments sourced locally, also known as the singing bamboos of the Philippines. So this group is composed of musically talented elementary students from Manila and Quezon City. It was founded on September 6, 1966. The instruments of this group uses are the bamboo tube or the bumbong, the bamboo marimba or the talungating, the bamboo piano or the tipangklung, and the bamboo flute of tulali, the bamboo knockers or the kalatok, and the bamboo musical ratis or angklung. We will going to discuss that. So first we have the kalatok, the second one we have talungating, the bumbong, and tulali, and the last one is angklung. Let's proceed to the Western orchestra. So the modern orchestra is divided into several sections, namely the strings, the woodwinds, the brasses, and the percussion. A conductor usually leads an orchestra, and the term orchestra is a Greek origin, which referred to the area directly in front of the stage in concert halls, theaters, and other performance venues. So So first, we were going to talk about the string selection. So string selection, the instruments of this section produce sounds by either bowing or plucking tight strings attached to a hollow resonating box that amplifies the sounds. So first instrument is violin. A stringed instrument that is commonly bowed but may also be plucked. It has a hollow resonating body made of wood with an attachedness and peg box. So it's fingerboard just like all the other instruments. In this section does not have frets. So it has 4 strings and is the highest pitch member a of this section. So it can be played either as solo or an ensemble instrument. So marami naman siguro nakakaalam ng violin dito. It is a 4-stringed instrument and it is commonly used by a bowed, but it may also be plucked like using guitar. So next we have the viola. So slightly larger than the violin, it is the second highest pitch member of the violin family. So music for the viola is usually notated in the alto clef. This is 4-stringed instrument and are tuned a fifth below that of the violin. So next po we have cello. So cello, also called violoncello, it is the second lowest pitch of the bowed string instruments and possesses a deep, rich tone in its lower register. So due to its size, the cello is placed between one legs and it has lower range than the viola. So next we have double bass. So also called contrabass. It is the largest of the bowed string instruments and has the lowest pitch and range. It can be played either or plucking or with a bow. So usually yung double bass is yung pinakamalaki among of them, among violin, viola, cello. The double bass is the largest one. So these are the pictures of these instruments. The first one we have is violin. The second one we have the viola. And the third one we have the cello, and the larger one and the largest one is double bass. So next we have the woodwind selection. So the instruments of these sections were initially constructed out of wood, but today some of them are made of metal. Blowing wind into these instruments set up a vibration and it's turned to make a sound. So dati daw po, it called woodwinds because it's made of wood, but today some of the instruments in this section are made out of metal. So the first one we have the flute. The flute is a long cylindrical shaped instrument wherein the player blows through a side hole. It is held horizontally. Its timbre is usually gentle, light, and airy, but can also stand out clearly when played in a higher register. So yung flute daw po is usually is a gentle, light, and airy sounds that you can hear, but it can also stand out clearly when it played in higher pitch register. So we have the next is clarinet. So clarinet sound is produced by blowing into a reed, a small piece of cane, which is yung sa blowing part ng clarinet. So which vibrate slightly conical in shape. It is usually made of ebony. Its timbre is rich and flexible, close to sound of a human voice. So sabi daw dito, yung clarinet daw po is it is slightly sounds like a human voice. So meaning flexible yung sound ng clarinet na napapakinggan or naririnig natin. So next we have the oboe. So oboe, just like clarinet, The oboe uses a reed, but in this case, it has double reed. Blowing air into a oboe is relatively harder since player has to force air between two reeds, which are lashed together. So meaning, sa oboe is dalawa yung blowing air doon sa instrument. Dalawang butas po yung binublow para tumunog yung oboe. So, because of this, the oboe has a crisp and focused sound before a performance. The oboe usually gives the standard tuning pitch, the A or the La, which is the LA. So, to the entire orchestra. So, last, we have the basin. So, basin, another double reed instrument. The basin is a low-range woodwind, bigger and larger than the other woodwind instrument. It is folded into a middle reduced and lengthy exterior dimension. So yung basun daw po is it is the low range woodwind in this section. So meaning to say, siya yung pinakamababang sound or mababa yung pitch niya. These are the example of pictures of this instrument. The first one is flute. Next is clarinet, oboe, and the basin. So next we have the brass section. So brass instruments tend to be the loudest of wind instrument to produce a sound. The player blows into a small metal mouthpiece which make the lips vibrate. This vibration set up the vibrations inside a brass tube. So first instrument we have trumpet. So it is the instrument with the highest range in this section. It is a bright and powerful tone. It is usually used in martial or military themes. So pitches are controlled by a valve that either connects or disconnects the main tubes with the secondary tubes. So the second one instrument is the French horn. So French horn, it is the lower, mellower than the trumpet. Its tube is coiled into a somewhat circular fashion, which give it its distinct shape. So the third one is trombone. So instead of using a valve like a trumpet and the French horn, the trombone uses a sliding mechanism to produce and control pitches. The trombone has a lower range than the trumpet. So meaning yung trombone is mas mababa yung range niya kaysa sa trumpet. So in tuba, so having a lower register, this instrument usually is the foundation for the brass section. It is less flexible than the other bass instrument. So meaning yung tuba, siya siguro yung foundation ng brass section na to. So ibig sabihin, siya yung may mababang low register and also it is less flexible than the other brass instruments. So these are the instrument, yes, in the brass instrument. So first we have the trumpet. This is it look like. So next is French horn. Next is trombone. And the last one is tuba. So the last one is the percussion section. So percussion instruments produce sounds by striking or hitting them with wooden or metal mallets or sticks. Some percussion instruments have a definite pitch, such as the timpani, xylophone, tubular bells, and marimba, while others have indefinite pitches like gongs and drums. So first instrument is timpani or the kettle drums. So these are large drums that are capable of being tuned into exact low pitches or sounds. So these are usually played in groups of 2 or 3. Specialized drumsticks called timpani sticks or timpani mallets are used in hitting the drum to produce a sound. So second is the glockenspiel. So glockenspiel is related to the lyre. This instrument has small steel bars that when struck produce a brilliant penetrating sound. So when you hit a glockenspiel, when you hit the instrument, it can produce a brilliant penetrating sound daw. So the next instrument is celesta. So celesta is not played with sticks or mallets. Dito naman sa celesta, hindi sila gumagamit ng sticks or a mallets. So the celesta has a keyboard. It is played similarly like a piano. True, it is smaller in size. It produces a delicate and metallic sound. So in celesta naman po, it is more similar like a piano. So it produces a delicate and metallic sound. So next instrument we have the marimba. So usually mounted on stands, a marimba is played like a xylophone. It is struck in with mallets. It is originally an African instrument. It has resonators under each of its bars. So next is triangle. Triangle is a small handled triangular instrument made of metal that gives a bright, sparkling sound when it's struck. So the next one is snare drum. So it is composed of cylinder-shaped shell with two heads usually made out of wood or metal. This shell has two heads, the bottom part outfitted with gut wires or strings called snares. So that run parallel to one another. The upper head, also called the butter head, yes, the butter head. It is usually struck with wooden stick. So kanina we already discussed about snare drum. So next we have the tenor drum. Deep cylindrical drum. It is struck with felt-headed or side drumsticks. It is not outfitted with snares. It is also called a long drum. So the next one is bass drum. So bass drum also consisting of a cylindrical shell with two heads, and this drum is bigger, around 36 inches in diameter and 16 inches deep. So the last one is cymbals. So usually held by hand in pairs, these instruments provide loud occasional accent while marching. These are bored circular plates with small bump or boss in the middle. Cymbals are usually made of tin and copper alloy. So kanina we already discussed about this for instrument, the snare drum, the tenor drum, the bass drum, and the cymbals.
So these are the instruments in the percussion section.
The first instrument is tympanic or kettle drums. Next is glockenspiel, celesta, marimba, triangle, snare drum, tenor drum, bass drum, and the last one is cymbals.
Conclusion. Timbre plays a vital role in shaping the musical content of a composition, as it enables listeners to distinguish between different instruments' voices and sound sources. The unique tone, color, or sound quality of a timbre adds emotional depth, texture, and complexity to music, influencing the way we perceive and interpret musical themes, harmonies, and rhythms. By carefully selecting and combining timbres, composers and musicians can create rich nouns and expressive soundscapes that engage and resonate with audience. Ultimately, timbres is a fundamental element of music that helps to convey meaning, evoke emotions, and create a lasting sonic impression.